My natural high is surfing.
My natural high is adrenaline.
My natural high would have to be basketball.
Skateboarding. My natural high is surfing and music.
I'm giving up slowly. I'm blending in so you won't even know me. Apart from this world that shares my fate. This one last bullet you mentioned, it's my one last shot of redemption. 'Cause I know to live you must give your life away.
Hey, what's up? My name is Matt Thiessen.
My name is Matt Hoops.
We're in a band called Relient, and we're going to talk to you about our natural highs. Music is definitely my passion. That's how we kind of got started when we were in high school. We were 15, 16 years old. We started Relient, and from there on out, music was kind of the obsession.
This rut that I fell into by mistake. I gotta get out here, and I'm begging you to be my escape.
I've never heard of anyone that's done like heroin or crack or any of this stuff it's turned out okay. That they're like, hey, yeah, that was a cool time in my life when I did that. You
glad
know?
I did that. Glad I don't do it anymore. No, I mean it's always just like, oh, I still want more.
It's like, yeah, maybe if that happened like a handful of times in the Earth's existence, then maybe there would be a reason to want to try it, but there's just not.
Something I'm really proud of in my life is I've surrounded myself with really cool, quality people. And really, sunk into those friendships and dug in. And those people have all helped me keep a positive outlook on everything in life, especially, staying away from things that I don't need to be involved in. The people I surround myself with, and honestly, who I am as a person, I've worked on building self-confidence enough where I don't need other people's validation. I can't be pressured by anyone else because I'm confident in who I am and the decisions I make.
I think a lot of it is just making your own decision, realizing that life is bigger than the next 15 minutes or the next week, and realizing that things you do now affect where your life will be at 20 years from now.
Housing all this doubt and insecurity, and I've been locked inside that house. All the while you hold the key, and I've been dying to get out.
It's all about just figuring out who you are and who you want to be, and the sooner you do it, the better, and the more confident you are in yourself, the better as well. And if I had to go back to high school, that's the things I would change about myself, is being unsure about what I'm doing, where I'm going, and really there's nothing to be afraid about. It's a pretty cool world, and there's no reason not to be confident.
Be my escape.
I'm Rawson. I'm from Adelaide, Australia. My natural high is adrenaline. Playing golf at the highest level and knowing you have to hit that shot, and those butterflies and that crazy, intense feeling that you get of nervousness where you can't control, your hands are shaking and your palms are sweaty. That's what I live for. I played every single sport imaginable growing up. From t-ball to gymnastics, basketball, tennis, softball, whatever my friends were getting involved in, I was doing. I just love sport. I think when I was about 14, 15, we started to have parties on the weekends, and kids' parents were going away, and then we'd have a party there. And I would always have to play golf in the morning. I always had tennis at 7 a.m. and then golf in the afternoon, so I just never really had that opportunity. One of my best friends in school, we would ride our bikes home together and we'd sit there and we'd talk about, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to be? And she'd be like, I want to be an Olympic athlete, and I want to have the rings tattooed, I want to go to Sydney, and she was like, I want to just be a cyclist, I want to win a gold medal. And we would just inspire each other and talk about all these things that we wanted to do with our lives. Eventually she got messed up with the wrong people, and she started hanging out with all the cool kids, and she wanted to feel accepted by them, and then she stopped cycling and totally went with the wrong crowd, and she started to not do well in school, and I stopped being friends with her because that was not the road that I was willing to take. You know, golf was the way that I could get there, and I thought if I work hard at this, then I can have all the opportunity. The funny thing about high school is who you are and what you are in high school is not who you're going to be for the rest of your life. And I remember when I was in high school and all I cared about was, you know, what does so-and-so think of me? Am I accepted? Am I in the in-group? And it really doesn't matter. It's more important that you do the right things. You get the straight A's so you can get into college. And if you do that, you're going to get rewarded later in life. It's an unbelievable lifestyle for a young person. I mean, I get to go to every city in the world, basically, and I get to play golf. When I'm not playing golf, I get to go check out the city, and it's fun. I mean, I have to work hard. I have to train hard. I hit the gym. I practice a lot. You know, I have to focus, but I compete, and then I have time off. You can be anything you want. You just have to dream about it and want it and work hard, and you can have anything. I'm Anna Rawson. My natural high is adrenaline.
I'm Michael Conley from Indianapolis, Indiana. My natural high would have to be basketball. As a kid, I played baseball, football, ran track, played basketball, of course. I played all the sports I could get my hands on. And anything that, you know, my family would let me do, I was going out there and trying it. The first time I probably heard about drugs was when I moved to Indianapolis in 6th grade. Where we moved to wasn't the best area. Guys were running around school, you know, talking about different things that they're doing and they might try. And you have a couple people approach you like, hey man, come over here and you know, check this out. And you just gotta, you know, I sat there and I was scared first off because my mother and father told me not to do drugs, not to do, you know, the bad things. And, you know, it kept happening. It would happen over and over and somebody might ask, but I always made up excuses until I had, you know, enough courage to, you know, just say, nah, you know, I'm good. I don't feel like doing that. I don't think that's, you know, gonna help me, you know, become what I want to become. I've had a lot of people that I've grown up with that could have had the same things as me, that could have, you know, been able to go to college, been able to get scholarships, if they would just made the right decision. You know, a good friend of mine, he was really good at basketball. I'd say he was better than me at the time. At the early age, he got caught into, you know, drinking alcohol, doing drugs, messing around with women, and trying to grow up too fast. It makes me almost, you know, mad because I know, you know, I could have helped him out when I was younger, but I was too young to understand at the time. There's no question it's going to be tough to not do what your friends are doing, but if you can, you know, hold yourself to a different level than your friends, if you can put yourself, you know, on a higher level and take the higher road, they'll still be your friends, and maybe, you know, your choices will influence them to not do what they're doing. Stay focused and learn that, you know, it's not about being popular. It's about making a name for yourself, whether, you know, be with your school or whatever it might be. I'm Michael Conley. My natural high would have to be basketball.
I'm Paul Rodriguez, and I'm from Northridge, California. My natural high is skateboarding. I grew up pretty much like every other young man, just playing all the sports, dabbled in them all, baseball, basketball, football. And now looking back on it, I think that going through each and every one of those phases groomed me to be a skater. If it was something that I enjoyed that much to where I wanted to do it all day, every day, this is what I'm doing with my life, that's it. My natural high is skateboarding. Whatever it is you do, just accomplishing something after trying it for weeks, months, days, hours, and finally you land the trick and finally you're rolling away. It's just amazing. Like it's literally a buzz. This kid who grew up in my neighborhood, I knew him and his brother, and we skated together. I knew these kids forever. All of a sudden, next thing you know, this guy's doing tweak. I'm not even sure exactly what the substance is. I just know that it speeds you up and makes you act weird, because I seen him not too long after that. I was skating the spot, and he drove by, and I seen him, and he just looked like there was no him. Like, he drove by me, like, oh, what's up? He just looked by, he just drove by me slow, just stared at me, and then just went. I'm thinking like, oh, this is not good. Now he's in jail for 10 years from numerous robberies, auto thefts, whatever, you name it, he ended up doing it. You can't trust somebody who's a cokehead. You can't trust somebody who's a tweaker. If you have $5 on the table, it's gone. If you have any sort of valuable thing, it's gone. You can't talk to them, they don't want to hear it. You can't say, look, what are you doing? You're not talking to that person you knew anymore. They're gone. They're absolutely gone. At the end of the day, you can't let yourself go through that torture and pain because this person chose to ruin their life, you know what I mean? I'm skating, I'm thinking about skating, this is what I want to do. I'm not skating, I'm still thinking about skating. But at the same time, skateboarding has brought me around lots of drugs, lots of stuff, because in the skateboard world, lots of skaters are, you know, a little on the wild side. My goals were able to be accomplished because my mind was clear, my mind was sharp, my mind wasn't focused on anything else. It wasn't a matter of like, okay, in order to accomplish these goals, I gotta stay clean and sober. It just, that wasn't even on my radar. Skateboarding was my drug, it is my drug. If you're in school thinking you're the loser, I'm not popular, trust me, it's not the end of the world. It does not matter. I know those same exact kids who are the little stoner, like kind of druggy, experimental kids, they're those same kids right now at 24, 25 years old, except they're struggling, they're in and out of rehab. Some of them are dead, they have no drive, no motivation for real life. They're barely in their mid-20s, early 20s, and they already threw their life away, they're already over it, they already gave up on life. I'm telling you, trust me, they're losers.
My name's Timmy Curran. I'm from Oxnard, California. I definitely say my natural high is surfing and music.
We are on our way now. These days going by as a blink of an eye, don't know how.
There's nothing like surfing great waves with family and friends or performing in front of people is really, really exciting. Growing up at the beach, I went to this little elementary school called Hollywood Beach School, and when I went to junior high is when I first kind of heard and learned about drugs. I think for me, drugs were something that kind of scared me more than anything, and I knew if I was doing drugs that my bags would be packed on the front porch if my parents even heard about it. When you see kids with so much potential, their whole life is ahead of them and they have so much to offer the world, and they get into drugs and next thing you know, they're hanging out with the wrong crowd, they're wind up getting into trouble, and then their future just ends quickly.
We are on our way now. These days going by as a blink of an eye, don't know how.
There was a kid when I was doing amateur contests that was just an amazing surfer. He had great style, and after I surfed for a couple years and went on to the pro tour, I heard that he actually ended up overdosing on drugs, and it was really sad because he had so much potential and he could have been one of the best surfers in the world. I knew if I was hanging out with a lot of guys that were doing drugs, then, you know, there was that chance that you just be like, oh, maybe I'll just try it once. But if you kind of eliminate that possibility, you're headed in the right direction. When there's people that you look up to that are in the wrong group, it's going to be really easy to give in and try something here and there, and then next you know, you're just doing it full time, and then that's when you watch your dreams slip away. My name's Timmy Curran, and my natural high is surfing and music.
My name is Lisa Leslie. My natural high is love. I genuinely love people. I love children. I grew up in Compton, California, Hawthorne, California, Inglewood, California, and Los Angeles. I didn't start playing basketball until I was 12 years old. I did play kickball and tetherball in the playgrounds and jump rope a lot, but I didn't begin to pick up a ball until 7th grade. There was one girl named Sharon, I always remember, and everybody knew her name. She was a 9th grader, and I thought, wow, how come everybody knows her name? And they said because she plays on the basketball team and she was really good. I decided the goal of becoming an Olympian in the 9th grade. I was 6'4", so a little hard to miss, and I started to make waves. I was the California Player of the Year, and I got a lot of recognition in high school. Playing sports has been a huge reason why I have not been, you know, in a lot of trouble ever. When I started playing sports, I was so focused on getting good grades and then playing my sport and improving that my time and my focus was on two things that were really important to me, that I didn't have a whole lot of time for hanging out and doing things that was not right. So I always encourage kids to play sports because you're more likely, you know, not to get in trouble, not to get incarcerated or go to jail. You're more likely not to go to juvenile hall. You're more likely to go to college. So I think there's so many positive things surrounding sports, and I'm so thankful that my mom allowed me to play. It really helped keep me, you know, on the right track and doing the right thing. When you look at a lot of families, there's probably that someone in your family who's making the wrong choice consistently or choosing to do drugs. And all I can say about that is that it affects everybody. When you decide to do drugs, it affects your sisters and your brothers and your mom, because we all have to experience, you know, a person going through being on drugs. Your goal should be to be a good citizen, to be a good person. And for me, I always wanted to represent my family, my mom and my sisters, and I didn't want to do anything that would damage my family name. I think the other thing is that you want to be successful, and you can't do that if you're doing the wrong things. When it comes to sacrificing, like partying and hanging out and drinking alcohol and things like that, that's things that you cannot do if you want to truly be successful. My cousin, you know, uncles, different people have chosen to do drugs, and it hasn't been a positive effect. So I would just say, don't try it. I think it does really affect your life in a very negative way, as well as the people around you.
Yeah, Steve and Eric, they had dreams. They had dreams. They were good athletes. They loved the outdoors. They loved the ocean, and they were smart. You know, they were loving life when we were growing up. They were just on a good path. You know, just really enjoying life. And they got sidetracked. They listened to some friends that turned out not to be very good friends, and they got them into drugs. And they thought drugs were cool. They thought drugs would lead to something that they didn't have. They thought they'd try to fit in and you know, kick it up a notch by doing drugs.
I remember running up my grandma's driveway to see him, and he would always be coming up from the garage, and he would greet me with a big hug, and I just remember how much I loved him. Yeah, in high school, when Steve got addicted, you know, he thought he could experiment and get away with it, and he got addicted, and I knew this was going to be a rough road. I remember seeing Steve when he came home, and he just looked like a ghost. He was a big boy. He, you know, he was 200 pounds, 6'3", and to see him at 83 pounds, you know, it was like slowly watching my brother die. To see both my brothers addicted on drugs was just heavy.
We came from having a normal family to just being out of control. You know, I didn't see him very much. They wouldn't come home for dinner. It was just all of a sudden the three musketeers we used to call ourselves wasn't the same. I remember sitting down with Stephen and telling him if he didn't stop, he was going to die.
He had seizures and was lying on the floor. And then I knew that this addiction would kill him.
I got a call in the middle of the night by a sheriff.
I remember the day that he was gone. I was running up the stairs to see him, and he didn't come up from the garage.
He was alone and got some more cocaine, and his heart couldn't take any more of it. He collapsed.
Fell to my knees and started crying. I couldn't believe that my little brother was gone. Just couldn't believe it.
I looked at my grandma and she had her face in her hands and he was gone. I was mad, I was angry, and mostly at him. You know, I was mad that he had left me for drugs, basically.
Stephen left behind a little girl. Stephen left behind a 5-year-old girl. I mean, drugs were so powerful, his daughter was more important to him than anything.
The drugs overpowered his love for me.
Eric, you know, he started smoking pot, which is a gateway drug, and it led to worse drugs. And he ended up taking some pretty strong drugs, and he ended up getting a full-blown depression, and he couldn't think straight. And Eric spent 8 years in a mental institution. Drugs changed Eric forever, and he was never the same. And when he got out, the poor young man was half the person he was when he went in, and couldn't pull it together.
He decided he wanted to get rid of the pain he was in, and so he went over to the Coronado Bridge and jumped.
My mom called me and she said she thinks that Eric jumped off the bridge, and a short time later I found out that he did. My name is John Sant. I'm from La Jolla, California, and the reason I produced this video and started the Natural High series is I lost my 2 little brothers to drugs. My motivation for this video is to teach every kid to get a natural high and choose a natural high over drugs. Everybody has a natural high. Everybody has a gift that is so much better than drugs. And the high that drugs give you are a ripoff. And, you know, they make it seem so cool. You know, older kids make it seem so cool, and sometimes the media makes it seem so cool. And I thought, you know what's just way cooler is a natural high. So I wanted to reach the hearts and minds of kids and tell them the story of my brothers, and not just tell them a sad story, but tell them to go for their dreams and get a natural high. That's a lot better than the false high that drugs give you. My name is John Sant. My natural high is surfing.